I did everything I was supposed to do. I was in the military, I went to college, I worked, and we can't buy a home. What did I do wrong? I'm a nurse, and I love it. I love it. It's great.
And what does your husband do?
He's a manufacturing tech at Intel. So we have pretty good jobs, decent jobs.
Do you feel like those jobs are enough to cover your living expenses? And
not even close. We pay about $3,000 in rent. We have all the utilities. We have car payments, car insurance, mouths to feed, and gas. Maybe we have enough left over for groceries and toiletries and household stuff. Why are we struggling?
But the implications of events in the Middle East for the U.S. economy are uncertain. In the near term, higher energy prices will push up overall inflation, but it is too soon to know the scope and duration of the potential effects on the economy.
We are going to have a Mad Max time. In 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed, but the Soviet Union had gone through hard times before that, and they managed to make it through. I mean, people who had worked for the government their entire lives, 60, 70 years old, were counting on a retirement. All of a sudden, their retirement wouldn't buy a box of matches. They survived. They survived because they had been through tough times and they could do it. Americans couldn't survive a month without these SNAP payments. Okay, if people don't get their food stamps, they're going to go Mad Max, period. I see social disruption, absolutely Mad Max. Go to the Soviet Union. Go to Russia in 1917. You're going to have 15 different factions, okay? You're going to have warlords running the country. Some people like John Mearsheimer thinks that the demise of the United States in the Middle East is not a big deal. The United States has resources, has agriculture, has manufacturing. I totally disagree with them, okay? The United States is an empire in collapse, and there is already the provisions for civil war in progress. And all it's going to do is take a lack of food, and and we're going to have that, okay? We're going to have people starve next winter in the United States. We're going to have people freeze next winter in the United States, regardless of what happens to the Strait of Hormuz in the next 2 weeks, okay? It is set in concrete already. Prices are going through the roof, and people simply cannot afford it.
Hey, that guy right there was 100% on point. So first and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. Yahweh to this world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai to this world ignorantly calls Jesus. Bahashem means in the name, Rakah means spirit, and Kodash means holy. And that's all in the Paleo Hebrew. I also want to give double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. And today's video, I wanted to go into this clip right here. And you have this guy here talking about how we're going to have a Mad Max time. Okay, and everything he was saying was coming straight out of the scriptures. Okay, him unknowingly, he was prophesying. And it was completely exactly what the scriptures say. So the first point, let's start with the fact that it's going to be a Mad Max time, going into a chaos everywhere. So when you go into Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1, it says, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book." Right? So there's going to be a time of trouble so bad that the world has never seen. Okay, that divine intervention, angels are going to have to come down to take care of the elect. That's what's coming. Okay, and in the scriptures as referred to as the day of the Lord, okay, it's also referred to as the day of Jacob's trouble. Okay, Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 5, it says, "For thus saith Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness." Right, so Jeremiah asking, why do I see every man, like he's pregnant, okay, in that fetal position? And the reason, verse 7, "Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it." All right, so that's what's coming, is the time of Jacob's trouble, a time like never be seen before. Also in Matthew chapter 24 and verse 20, Matthew chapter 24 and verse 21, it says, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened." Right? So when these things start taking place, the Heavenly Father is going to start speeding things up. Okay, we're going to see these prophecies start happening fast. Okay, because if Esau drags out his whole agenda, nobody's going to make it. Okay, we're all going to become just straight AI slaves. Okay, that's where Esau is trying to go. He's trying to create a technocracy where AI is the God and you have to have that chip in order to do everything. Right, straight control. And it will get to that point. It will get to that point, but they're not going to be able to do everything they want to do. So let's go into 2 Ezra chapter 16, because he said that these people are going to go crazy because of the lack of food. That's exactly what we read in the scriptures. Okay, 2 Ezra chapter 15, and I'll start at verse 15. It says, "For the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." Okay, so people are going to be fighting each other, which the modern day sword is the gun. Okay, and you're going to have literally, you're going to have people literally out here with knives, swords, shovels, anything that they can find, they're going to be using it to try to get the upper hand. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." Right, so sedition goes into a coming against the government, which that guy right there was talking about how, it's all set up, it's all ready. And the only thing is that food, which I've been saying that for the longest. That's what is really going to get people to do something, is when they can't eat. Okay, because these Babylonians, these Americans, okay, they live off the instant gratification. Okay, and food is one of the ways of just instant gratification. Right? These people don't know nothing about fasting, right? But they know how to get a McChicken. They know how to get in that fast food line, straight poison themselves to death. It's crazy seeing the McDonald's line, how it's always full, always. And, that adds into the mentality of this kingdom, instant gratification. But there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Right? So people are not going to care what the governor, the president, authorities say. They're going to do what they want to do. It says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able." Right? Because military lockdowns are going to take place. Okay, which we saw a little glimpse of that in 2020, how they locked down everything. And to go from here to there, you needed, the V, the jump shot. All of that is going to come back again, but times 10. Okay, you're gonna need the jump shots, and you're going to need specific, verification or even authorization to move. And, a perfect example was, I think it was Hungary. If I remember, it was Hungary. I was watching this chess documentary about this female, pretty much one of the greatest female chess players to ever live, something Polgat, and she was out of Hungary, if I remember correctly. And pretty much, she wanted to go travel to play chess outside of Hungary, and the Hungarian government, which was a communist party, they pretty much said, "Nah, you ain't leaving." So it got so bad, and, she got so popular, so much fame that, the Hungarian government pretty much had to let her go. But at first, nah, she needed authorization, and they said, "Nah, you're not going anywhere." Which that whole mindset is going to come again. Because the scriptures talk about, the cruel Lord, the fierce king, was going to rule over you Egyptians. Which Egypt is another word for America. Right? It's Isaiah 19:4. "And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts." Which we believe through the Spirit for that to be DJ Trump. Okay, he fits the mentality and the framework of what the scriptures say, cruel and fierce. Okay, Trump, he's really applying that hammer. Babylon being the hammer of the earth, as the scriptures say. So it says, "For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." Right? So grown men, okay, are going to be out here in that fetal position because of the pride, because of a thinking that they can do it by themselves, thinking that that this world is more important than the Lord. Pride. So because of that pride, all you wicked, individuals are going to have to pay. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And that is what this guy right here was saying. Unknowingly, he was prophesying. Okay, he was talking about how a civil war is upon us. It's just that people are going to have to starve. And that's when, they're going to do something because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So we can see how, as it says in Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 3, let's get that. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Right? So these prophecies are written, okay, and they're going to happen exactly as they are written. They're going to speak and not lie. Though it tarry, though it feels like it's taking forever, wait for it, because it will surely happen. Right? And we get that same idea, echoed in 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse, it's actually 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 1. It says, behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy which I will put in thy mouth, saith Yahweh, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Okay, and that's something you got to remember, that these things are true. These prophecies are going to happen. And verse 3, fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Right, so don't let these people, that are bugged out, that don't believe, trouble you. Right, because they're going to die in their unfaithfulness. And we'll end it with this, Romans chapter 3 and verse 3. It says, for what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect? God forbid. Yea, let God be true, but every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings, and mightest overcome when thou art judged. Right, so just because somebody doesn't believe, it doesn't mean that they're going to change the prophecies. Okay, they're still going to take place. Right, and everyone has to fall into their lot. That's why it says, Revelation chapter 22. It's been a minute since I read this one. Revelation chapter 22 and verse 11, it says, he that is unjust, let him be unjust still. And he which is filthy, let him be filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be. Okay, so everyone is coming to fulfill the lot. And you better hope you're doing the right thing, and the Lord has mercy on you. So, with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, Ba'ashim Kakodash, and double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of great mills that taught me this truth. Shalom to elect. Shalom.